and welcome to Planet Pulse on Firstpost. The Earth is constantly changing, and in recent years, for the worse. Summers are getting hotter, winters harsher. Rising sea levels, floods, drought, wildfires, and torrential rain have been disrupting lives across continents. The fight against climate change is needed now more than ever. On this show, we bring you all the top stories on the climate crisis, its causes, its brutal effects, and the warriors helping to fight the menace. We begin with India. As Diwali's last spark faded from the night sky, the glow of celebration gave way to a familiar, choking haze over the country's capital, New Delhi. The city that shimmered in lights just hours earlier awoke to stinging eyes and grey skies. From bursting fireworks to smouldering crop fields miles away, a chain of small acts once again turned the capital into a gas chamber of its own making. Even neighbouring Lahore wasn't spared, wrapped in its own toxic fog. Now, each winter, South Asia holds its breath, quite literally. Our next report brings you more.
Diwali lit up skies across India this week. A festival of lights, joy and colour. But as the glow dimmed, the familiar grey haze crept back over Delhi, wrapping the capital and its neighbouring cities in a blanket of toxic smog. Every year, like clockwork, the same story unfolds. A sharp dip in air quality follows the celebrations, with the air quality index sliding from the poor to very poor category. And this time, to one of the worst post-Diwali levels in 4 years.
पोल्यूशन अब आज से नहीं कई सालों से बढ़ रहा है, ठीक है। अब तो यूज़ टू है दिल्ली के लोग तो इन चीज़ों के लिए, और इस दिल्ली पे बहुत सारे लोग जो है स्ट्रेस बहुत है, क्योंकि और भी सिटीज़ के जो लोग आ रहे हैं, खुद दिल्ली के लोग हो गए, अब 2 करोड़ से ज़्यादा की आबादी रहती है दिल्ली में। अब आप बोलेंगे पॉलिटिशियन ऐसे है, ये ऐसे, भाई लोग खुद ऐसे हैं, पॉलिटिशियन की बात क्या करूँगा भाई। हर जगह ना ये नहीं है कि पॉलिटिकल भी है, आदमी अपने आप को भी नहीं सुधार रहा। पटाखे तो मिलेंगे भाई, वो आपके ऊपर है फोड़ना नहीं फोड़ना, फिर आप कहेंगे गवर्नमेंट कुछ नहीं कर रही। तो भाई ये हर साल चलता है, तो इसमें लोगों को अपने आप को सुधारना है।
Over the past few days, the air in Delhi and surrounding NCR towns has been hovering dangerously close to the severe mark. On Diwali night, the AQI crossed 370 in several parts of the city. The haze stung eyes, choked throats and turned monuments into ghostly silhouettes. Experts say this annual crisis is not the fault of a single source, but a perfect storm of several. Firecrackers, vehicle emissions, dust, industrial smoke and stubble burning in the neighbouring agrarian states of Punjab, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh. The arrival of winter worsens matters, as colder air and low wind speeds trap pollutants close to the ground. However, conflicting reports this year make it difficult to pinpoint the main culprit. Some outlets citing a climate research firm reported a 77% decline in stubble burning incidents compared to last year, a drop linked to devastating floods that destroyed large swathes of crops earlier this year. The same reports attribute the post-Diwali spike in pollution mainly to firecracker emissions. However, official data from Punjab's Pollution Control Board paints a different picture. It shows a threefold rise in farm fire incidents in just 10 days, from 116 cases recorded till the 11th of October to over 350 by the following week. In 2023, Punjab recorded 36,663 stubble burning cases. That number fell sharply to 10,909 last year, showing gradual improvement due to awareness campaigns and the introduction of machinery to clear fields without burning residue. Yet the practice continues because it remains the cheapest and quickest option for many farmers.
ਮਜਬੂਰ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕਰਨਾ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਜੀ ਮਤਲਬ ਇੱਕ ਹੜਾਂ ਦੀ ਮਾਰ ਦਾ ਕਰਕੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮਜਬੂਰ ਹੋਣਾ ਪਿਆ ਵਾ ਤੇ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਸਾਨੂੰ 3500 ਰੁਪਇਆ ਕਿੱਲੇ ਦਾ ਦਵੇ ਤੇ ਫੇਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਅੱਗ ਲਾਉਂਦੇ ਪਰਾਲੀ।
On the other hand, this Diwali marked a change in Delhi. India's top court relaxed a 5-year ban on the sale and bursting of crackers, allowing green crackers designed to release 20 to 30% fewer pollutants for limited hours over 2 days. Despite the rule, fireworks were seen across the capital well past midnight, and not all of them were eco-friendly. Doctors in the city report an increase in cases of cough, watery eyes and breathlessness. They warn that long-term exposure to polluted air can weaken the body's defences and cause serious respiratory ailments.
बहुत हार्मफुल है और ये कल बिल्कुल साफ़ सुथरा था, मतलब परसों साफ़ सुथरा था। कल कुछ लोगों ने फटाके छोड़े थे और आज नाइट में इतने फटाके फोड़ेंगे ना, तो हमें सोने दिया। और हम फिर ये चेक करने आए हैं कि कितना पोल्यूशन है। हम डेली साइकिलिंग 50 किलोमीटर 40 किलोमीटर करते हैं और रनिंग भी करते हैं, बट तो हम तो फिर भी इसको कंट्रोल कर ले, लेकिन आम जनता के लिए जिसको सांस की प्रॉब्लम है, उन लोगों के लिए, छोटे बच्चों के लिए बहुत हार्मफुल है जी।
Meanwhile, in neighbouring Pakistan, a toxic haze also settled over Lahore this week. The city's AQI touched 255, placing it in the very unhealthy category overnight before easing slightly to 190 by noon. Lahore faces a similar seasonal pattern where cold air traps pollutants from vehicles, industries and crop fires. Firecrackers during Diwali celebrations earlier this week added to the smog. So, as winter approaches, the haze is expected to thicken before it clears again with the arrival of spring. For now, residents in both cities remain under a cloud, quite literally waiting for a breath of clean air.
For our next story, let's move to France. A rare and deadly tornado has struck the northern suburbs of Paris, toppling cranes and tearing off rooftops. Authorities have described the storm as of rare intensity, and this as emergency teams continue to assess widespread damage and clear roads blocked by uprooted trees and debris. Our next report has all the details.
Paris was hit by a rare and powerful tornado this week. It was France's first deadly twister in 17 years. Authorities called the storm one of rare intensity. It tore through northern Paris and nearby suburbs. It caused damage across nearly 10 districts. But the town of Ermont, about 20 kilometers northeast of Paris, was worst hit. The tornado here toppled cranes and ripped off roofs. Videos online showed 3 cranes collapsing within seconds. One crane fell on a clinic and another on a residential building. A 23-year-old construction worker was killed at a building site. 10 others were injured. 4 of them are in critical condition.
When I got there, I already saw a body covered with a sheet, so I realized that for this person, unfortunately, it was too late. We tried to help the injured as best we could. There's the IME just behind, the Medical Educational Institute that hosts people with disabilities. We saw they were safe and sheltered, so we left them there until the emergency services arrived. Honestly, I was pretty shocked. The side bungalows collapsed afterwards, so when we arrived, the bungalows fell, I heard screams, it froze my blood. Personally, it kept me from sleeping. We didn't see it coming. We really didn't see it coming. When my mother called me to say come have tea at the house, it was barely raining, just a few drops. I told her I couldn't be bothered. I stayed at home. 10 minutes later, the time it would have taken me to go down and be in the street there, the crane collapsed. Anyway, it happened very, very quickly. It caught everyone off guard.
Ça a pris tout le monde de court.
Strong winds damaged highways in the French capital. Motorists stopped as branches and debris blocked the roads. Uprooted trees and shattered rooftops lay scattered across northern suburbs.
It was my dog who alerted me. He reacted strangely. He hid. I looked out the window and saw the whirlwind. So I quickly took refuge under my table. There was wind, there was wind, there was wind. I saw everything. It was impressive, really.
So my car is there. I am one of the unlucky ones who saw a tree fall on their car. Honestly, I feel more sorrow, to be honest, for the tree, which is a century-old tree, than for the car. The car is just material. The roof is dented, a window and the rear windshield. In comparison, it's nothing. The insurance will reimburse me. I'll buy another car. But the tree, it's priceless. So I really feel much more sorrow for the tree than it's just material.
A French weather monitoring organization reported that the sudden gusts seemed to have originated from a supercell-type storm. This kind of thunderstorm is characterized by a rotating updraft of circulating air that can sustain itself for hours and generates severe, sometimes catastrophic weather conditions, including large hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes. Authorities continue to assess the damage and ensure safety across affected suburbs. For residents here, the storm serves as a stark reminder of nature's sudden and destructive power.
And finally, Brazil's green dreams now stand on shaky ground. Petrobras has won the long fight to drill for oil at the mouth of the Amazon River, a project 5 years in the making, and one that could reshape the nation's climate legacy. President Lula calls it progress, a bridge between oil wealth and a green future. But conservationists call it betrayal. They warn of danger to one of the most biodiverse regions on Earth and to Lula's image as a climate champion. As Brazil prepares to host global climate talks in Belém next month, its actions may speak louder than its promises. Here's a report.
A storm is gathering off the coast of Brazil. The Amazon River meets the sea in a fragile, biodiverse region. And now, it faces a new threat. Petrobras, Brazil's state-run oil giant, has been given permission to drill. The area is called Foz do Amazonas. It lies 500 kilometers offshore, near the northern state of Amapá, bordering Suriname. The drilling will last 5 months. Petrobras says no oil will be produced yet, but the environmental and political backlash has already begun. This was not a simple decision. In 2023, the Brazilian government refused Petrobras permission. After 5 years of legal and regulatory battles, the license was finally granted. The environmental regulator, IBAMA, described it as a rigorous assessment. But the timing is explosive. Brazil will host COP30, the UN climate conference, next month in Belém. Yet, here it is, expanding fossil fuel exploration in one of the world's most sensitive regions. Critics say this undermines Brazil's credibility on climate leadership. Many other countries continue to explore new oil fields, but at the same time, not all of them are trying to position themselves as an environment global leader like Brazil is. And Brazil is known for having a clean energy grid, around 60% from water sources. Wind and solar energy sectors are growing a lot. So it's very ironic that Brazil will explore a new oil frontier, trying to maintain this environmental leader crown or title. The region is both promising and perilous. Petrobras and other oil companies see geological potential similar to Guyana, where massive offshore oil discoveries have transformed energy maps. But the risks are real. The Foz do Amazonas region faces strong ocean currents and violent storms. Its waters are home to mangroves, coral reefs, and manatees. Any accident Even a minor spill could ripple across the ecosystem. Environmentalists warn that the consequences could be catastrophic. Petrobras argues the drilling is safe. Indigenous communities, they claim, will not be affected. Yet, environmentalists point out that Brazil's oil will still contribute to global greenhouse gas emissions. The main risks we see are the impacts on the flora and fauna on the coast of Amapá, impacts on the Amazon reef, and impacts not only on the coast of Brazil, but also through currents reaching Caribbean countries and the Western African coast. We also have impacts on local communities, indigenous peoples, and fishing communities. The tension is also political. President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva is widely expected to run for re-election next year. His past record promoted biofuels, renewable energy, and environmental protection. Offshore discoveries have historically funded social programs, healthcare, and education. Now, economic gain is colliding with environmental responsibility. This idea that you can recover any environmental damage with financial tools assumes that you can exchange natural capital and social capital for financial capital, which we see is not real. These risks have to be balanced with the gains. The local ecosystem is fragile and understudied. Mangroves cover 80% of Brazil's coast. The area is rich in biodiversity. But little is known about how drilling could affect the coral reefs or the manatee population. IBAMA's final report highlights these risks and mandates Petrobras' involvement in conservation efforts. This is a high-stakes gamble. Brazil depends mostly on renewable energy, yet it is betting big on oil. Now, climate groups are preparing to take the government to court. They argue the decision threatens the Amazon's future and contradicts global climate goals. The countdown is on. COP30 begins in just weeks. The world will watch Brazil closely. Will Petrobras operate safely, or will ambition override caution? Will the Amazon survive this push for oil, or will the rainforest pay the price for short-term gain? As the ships move into position and equipment begins arriving at Foz do Amazonas, one question looms large. Can Brazil prove it can balance energy, economy, and ecology? Or is this decision the spark for a confrontation with consequences the world is not ready for?
And that's it on Planet Pulse for today. We will see you again at the same time next week. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to First Post.